to the Daddy Issues podcast with Danny D, where we take a deep dive into the everyday lives of men who are fathers and husbands, their day-to-day struggles with mental health, fatherhood, finances, fitness, and how they build and maintain healthy relationships on a daily basis. So join us each week as we interview different men and get their perspectives on different topics, and also what they feel like they have to do every day to become the best version of themselves. So, if you're not too busy, let's get started. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Daddy Issues Podcast. I'm your host, Danny D. If this is your first time joining us, I want to say welcome, man. You're now part of an elite club. It's not Costco. We don't give out memberships or discounts, but you are part of something special. So this is our third episode in season 1, and our first 2 episodes, I believe, were really good. They were really positive, man. We got a lot of people talking. We got a lot of people arguing, which is always good, man, because we have that conversation, right? We start to have those conversations. We start to talk about things that we normally don't talk about, the taboo things, right? So if you want to write into the podcast or interact with the podcast, there's always a question of the, I guess you could say question of the day or question of the podcast. And there's also polls in the podcast. So if you respond to those, we can kind of have that conversation down there with each other. Also, and which we're going to do today, I'm going to explain a little bit. You can always write into the podcast. If you want to write into the podcast, it's going to be dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. You can write me some emails, and I choose them randomly. I don't, look for specific ones. That is kind of like, hey, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But the reason why we didn't do an email of the day from the first 2 episodes is because I wanted to see how it was going to work, right? I was going to throw it out there, and plus I had to do some fucking talking, man. It's my show, right? I'm allowed to do some talking, right? But no, I wanted those emails to kind of build up, and we're starting to get a nice little influx of emails. So I think we're going to do 1 or 2, maybe 3 email questions a day, and then we're going to see where that goes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. Okay, this guy's name is Ryan, and he's 34, and this is what he wrote. Hey Danny, I'm recently divorced due to infidelity. I'm looking for advice on how to heal and move forward. What steps can I take to rebuild trust, regain confidence, and eventually open myself up to new and healthy relationships? Well, Ryan, first of all, I appreciate you writing to the podcast, man. I appreciate you trusting me, trusting my advice, man. Right? Because I say it all the time, man. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a mouthpiece. I'm just a fucking man that's just talking, man. Just telling you, his life experiences, what his opinions, which don't really mean much, but I'm still giving them to you anyways. But I appreciate the question, man. So let's just break this down piece by piece, right? First and foremost, you said that you're divorced because of infidelity. You don't really express in the email if it was on your end or her end. I'm assuming it's a her. I'm sorry. Don't kill me for that. I know it's 2024. I'm going to assume that she was the one cheating on you because the flow of the email, not because I'm a sexist piece of shit, just because the way that you wrote the email. That's rough, man. Let's get into that part first, right? Infidelity, man. I don't get it, man. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, man. I don't get it. What's the point of getting into a fucking relationship, stay into a relationship, to cheat? Man, I can't speak from personal experience, right? I can't say, hey, this is why I did it, because I've never done it. But it's got to be something to it, man. There's a lot of people in a lot of different relationships that do it. But to me, it just doesn't make sense, man. Look, I'm lazy, right? It's too much fucking footwork. It's too much fucking footwork, in my opinion, look what you got to do, right? You got to fucking lie all the time. You got to keep up with all those lies. You got to hide things. You got to hide texts and videos and do secret fucking meetups. And oh my God, I'm just getting exhausted thinking about it. Right? It's not worth it to me. But there are a lot of relationships that, for whatever reason, it happens. Most of the time I think that these things, especially when it comes to infidelity, happen because the conversations aren't being had. And when I say conversation, I mean like you only can, when you look at it on paper, you only can do so much when it comes to a relationship. everybody likes that the fire phase, right? You know, when you get to the flash phase, it starts to die out. But the fire phase, man, that's where the fun is at, right? You're learning somebody new. You're learning their quirks. You're learning their favorite fucking colors and food. And you guys are going on dates, and you're probably fucking like jackrabbits. We're gonna pretend that everybody's men of the cloth and nobody has sex outside of marriage, but we know that's not true, right? But it's fun. I mean, it's exciting. You're everything feels like it's moving a million miles an hour. You got butterflies in your stomach, man. You're staying on the phone till 3 or 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. And I know this seems like kind of teenage fling type shit, but it happens, man, with adults too. That's particularly where you see it at. I mean, when you're younger, you know, they call it puppy love, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Some relationships do last past that point, but most of the time, you know, teenagers or kids or adolescents, man, they fly by the seat of their pants. They don't have any responsibilities. They don't have any true relationships or true I don't really want to know what the word is for it. They don't have any fucking loyalties. There we go. They don't have any loyalties to anybody. Right? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I know. You know, when kids or teenagers they break up with each other, it seems like the whole fucking world is shifting and the ground is moving underneath them. But come on, man. As adults, we know that that's not the end of the world. But we've all been through it. But when you start talking about adults, man, that's different, man. That's rough, right? We're talking about there's a lot more shekels involved. There's a lot more chips involved. You know, we're talking about families. If you have families, we're talking about property. We're talking about child support and alimony, and just, you know, we're not going to even talk about if it's a domestic situation. Then we're talking about criminal charges, restraining orders, and all this. In particular, to Ryan's emails, is streaming from infidelity. What's the point? I don't get it. What's the point? Just have the conversation. You know, I feel like that every person owes it to their significant other to at least have that conversation. Like, hey, man, whether it's, you know, the fire's burning out or, you know, things, and we have to come into relationships with realistic expectations, correct? You can't, there's no possible way that you think that the way a relationship's going to start out it's going to finish that way. There's no way. I'm sure there's an anomaly out there somewhere. You know, you'll see videos on the Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media outlet that you're watching or looking. You see that old couple, 95 and 103, and you know he's getting up from the wheelchair and he's fucking shaking. Norma. You know, everybody's smiling and crying and watching this guy fucking shuffle over to this woman to give her a hug and a kiss on her forehead. It's beautiful, right? My parents personally been married for 36 years. You know, I've never sat down and had an actual conversation with them about, you know, has anything like that ever happened or occurred in a relationship. But you know what? I see how their relationship works. My parents' relationship works is, one, my father's totally submissive. And it's not because, you know, he's lacking in masculinity, or he he's not the man of the house, he's the man in the house. He wholeheartedly decided that his life works better when he lets my mom run things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of guys like that. I'm personally not like that, but there's a lot of men who choose that path. Like, hey, you know, I feel like it's just easier if I allow my significant other to run things. And some people, it can't exist in that world. They're not, you know, call it ego, call it stupidity if you want to, but that's the way they were raised. Some people are old fashioned. Some people aren't old fashioned. Some people are just taught to be old fashioned, if that makes sense, right? They didn't choose to be old fashioned. They see how their parental dynamic works, and they're like, you know, this is my blueprint. This is what I'm looking for in a woman, or this is what I'm looking for in a man. And again, it goes back to those unrealistic expectations that I was talking about. You go into a relationship thinking that, man, this is starting out hot and heavy, man. This is everything I wanted. This is everything I've been fucking looking for. This is a Latin on a magical carpet. hanging over the edge, singing a song. A whole new world. Until 5, 6, 7 months go by and man, this ain't what it used to be, you know? And some people, you know, and this is just my opinion, you know, when it comes to like infidelity, like Ryan was talking about. I think some people, they stay in that phase, right? And it's look, it's a fun phase to be in. I love that phase. Everybody loves that fucking phase, you know? Meeting somebody new and getting those butterflies and, you know, trying to figure this person out, and, you know, you're constantly spending every waking moment together. That's all you're thinking about. Everybody loves that phase. But there's some people who never move on to stage 2. They stay in that first stage. They're like, you know, I love this phase, and once it starts to die down, they come up with a superficial reason to leave the relationship. Like, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here. Which pretty much brings it to Ryan's second question, because this is kind of a, you know, multi-part question email. He wants to know how he can heal and move forward. And a lot of people don't look at the downside of infidelity, man. They don't look at the other side because they're so busy, you know, trying to leave good for better. They don't think about the other party, man, because there's got to be, it's uneven, man. Life does not break even. So if you cheat on somebody, or you know, it doesn't have to be that extreme, or you know, you're seeing somebody, anything that you know, if you just sat down and thought about it in your heart, like, man, is this right? Should I be doing this? You know you shouldn't be doing it. But that leaves somebody broken, man. That leaves somebody uneven kill. That hurts. That breaks somebody's heart, man. You can die from that fucking shit. There's been research done of broken heart syndrome. But anyways, how do you heal and how do you move forward from that, man? That's rough, Ryan. That's fucking tough, man. You know, obviously you didn't go into the email and tell exactly, like, you know, what happened. Like, oh yeah, I walked in, man, my lady was getting clapped out. Like, you didn't, you know, go into the details, but it could have been something simple, man. It could have been like, hey, man, you went through her phone or some shit and you saw her texting another dude or whatever. But now you're heartbroken, man, and you need to move forward. What can you do? One word, man. Time. Time, Ryan. Time. I know they say that fucking old cliche that time heals all wounds. And a lot of people say, that's bullshit. Just move on. Just move on. But see, man, that's to me, that's flawed logic, man, because if you're hurt, man, you're fucking hurt. I don't care how tough you are, what your ego is telling you to do, or who you appear to be to other people, man. But if you're digging somebody, man, or you really like somebody, or you're in a relationship, or you're in a marriage, and somebody cheats on you, I don't give a fuck, man. That's gonna destroy you. And if it doesn't destroy you, it's because you probably were doing the same thing, right? So you're just justifying it to yourself. But in reality, here on Earth, planet Earth, somebody cheats on you, man, it's gonna break you, man. But time, that's the only thing, honestly, that's gonna fucking fix that, man. Fix that. A lot of people go into a tailspin. I know a lot of people that as soon as they get out of a relationship or even a divorce, man, they're just back out there. And it's usually the outside interference, man, that outside voice. Like, oh yeah, you gotta get back out there, dude. You gotta get back out there, girl. And now they're bed hopping, man, or they're just jumping in from relationship to relationship with all these insecurities, all these fucking problems that they never handled, they never looked at, they never tried to dissect and see. Because sometimes it's our own fault. I know that shit that's a hard pill to fucking swallow, but sometimes we're responsible for our own traps, man. We put out traps and we fucking step in them. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes we really are our own worst enemy because we're not having those conversations. We're not sitting down with our significant other and letting them know, like, man, like something's changed. And I think it's that fear of one, self-acceptance, of internalizing like, fuck, this is, something's off, something really has changed. Things are a lot different when you say them out loud. You can pretend, you can be macho, you can do whatever you want to do on the inside, but when you internalize something and you say it outside and you hear yourself say it, and then you're conveying this to another person, so you got a second party here there who's hearing you say it. It's different. It hits a lot different, man. So that's the first thing. We don't want to have those conversations with ourselves. And then on top of that, there's still a level of love with that person, even when a relationship is coming to its peak or its end, or you feel like it's not going to work anymore, even if you already decided like this is not for you, right? There's still something there. Things just don't go straight to black. So if you're sitting here having this conversation with this person, and whether it's the breakup conversation or just the conversation of you telling that person or expressing that person that things have changed, or this is not what you want anymore, that's, people don't want to have that conversation. People would literally rather wild out, cheat, lie, get caught. That's almost, to be honest, in my personal opinion, I feel that's almost an easier path for that person than just having that conversation, which is fucking crazy when you think about it, right? But you would rather get caught, cheating or texting or, going on a date or, whatever fucking devious shit you're getting caught doing that you're not supposed to be doing, and then get busted out for that, have that emotional conversation right then and there, that one that's just you're flying off the fucking handle, because that's, for a lot of people, man, that's an easier way of conveying their feelings. That's why a lot of the time people only really tell the truth when they're mad, because it's easier. It's like alcohol, man, without the alcohol, if that makes sense. You're so hyped up, you're so mad, you have that fallback of, oh, I said that because I was mad later. You have that fucking Monopoly get out of jail ticket. Or you got that courage. You can be like, oh, you know what, this and that and this, and I blame you for this and blame you for that. To me, for people, I feel like that's an easier out than sitting down with the person, pulling that person up that you love or loved, and saying, hey, we need to have this conversation. To see that fucking pain and hurt. Not saying there's pain and hurt. Not pain and hurt when you're flying off the handle and you're having that screaming match. But that's a different type of match. That's a different type of emotion. That's anger. We're talking about calm, collected conversation about how things have changed. People don't want to have that conversation. They would rather just hide it. They would rather just go out on the limb and do a bunch of crazy shit and just right till the wheels fall off. Time, man. Time, right? Time. Obviously, you didn't get this, this opinion, or you didn't get or maybe you did. You didn't put it in an email, but again, I'm assuming that you didn't get to go through this phase. You didn't get to make this decision of sitting down and having this conversation, which is, it's on YouTube, right? Because I'm sure that every relationship at some point, especially when it's going downhill, you have this solitary moment where things are changing. You have that opportunity right there to be like, man, I need to say something, or I need to have this conversation. But we don't, because we don't want that conversation. But give yourself some time, man. Honestly, that's my honest opinion about that part. Is give yourself some time, because if you just go out and you don't come to that self-realization that you need to fix some things, or you need to accept some things that happen to you and heal from those things, you're just going to carry that back into the next relationship. And of course, it's going to be great at first, because you're going to have that fire phase again. So you're not looking at the bad, man. You're too busy concentrating on all the good, which is good to a point. But guess what? When that starts to die down, and that flame starts to die down, Guess what's left? Those demons. Those demons are waiting on you, man. They're sitting there waiting. They can wait. They can wait all just as long as you can wait. And once that flame dies down, they're going to be looking you right in the fucking eye. Hey, we missed you, buddy. And then you're going to start having all those emotions from that first damaged relationship that you was in start to come back. Like, man, is it me? Am I doing the same thing? So you may even start overcompensating, man, or doing too much because you didn't sit down, give yourself time to really sort things out. The next part of the email was, what steps can you take to rebuild trust and regain confidence and eventually open yourself up to a new and healthy relationship? That's what we put. Really, man, it comes back to that time issue, man. Giving yourself fucking time. That's part of it, man. It's not just, when I say, let me clarify some things. When I say time, I'm not just saying like, just sitting around waiting. Like, oh, I'm going to give myself a month. No, man, we're talking about, and guys are good at this, man. I can't really speak for women because I'm not a woman. But guys are good at this. When a guy gets his fucking heart tore out, man, or gets his heart broken, man, he's good at just going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the fucking gym. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out and I'm going to get in the best fucking... And I don't know if that's just how we're wired, man, but we're wired in a way, and this is going to sound crazy, like when something traumatic or damaging happens, that's when we decide to become our best selves. And it doesn't need to be that way. It actually we need to try to be our best selves while we're in a relationship. But for men, a lot of men, whenever we get that traumatic experience, whether it be like a messed up relationship or, you know, a job loss or a parent dying or somebody close, some type of traumatic experience that attaches itself to you, for some reason men want to become their best selves because we start searching for outlets. We start searching for reasons, and we're not good at internalizing things. And I'm speaking about men. We're definitely not good at that, right? We're calculated about things in life, but we're not good at internalizing emotions. But when that traumatic thing happens, that's when men want to become their best version of themselves. Oh, I'm going to get in the best fucking shape. I'm going to work so much overtime. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to get the best car. And it's all stemming from, and this is crazy, it's all stemming from because you have a point to prove to a person that doesn't care about you anymore. Think about that, man. You're trying to fucking prove a point to a person that it doesn't matter to. Right? Oh, I'm gonna get ripped. I'm gonna get in the best shape of my life. Why? I mean, not why, because that's good for health reasons, but as far as along the lines of to show that person, like, look, I'm in great shape. Okay. That doesn't reverse anything. That doesn't change what happened. And again, that brings it back to those conversations that we don't like having, because you don't have anything to hang on to. You don't have a reason why, because you didn't sit there and have that conversation with that person to find out what's changing or what has changed. So now we're in a fucking tailspin and we're doing things because we're grabbing for straws. Or maybe it's because I wasn't in shape, or maybe it's because I didn't have a lot of money, or maybe it's because of this, so we're just doing all these fucking things. We're taking all these different avenues at one time, trying to prove a point to a person that it doesn't matter to anymore. It's fucking wild, man. It's fucking wild. So that's why that moving forward, trying to heal, rebuilding trust and regaining your confidence that comes with, it's all under that umbrella of time. You gotta do some self internalizing, man. Sometimes you just gotta fucking just admit it to yourself and say, man, she wasn't for me, or he wasn't for me. This particular situation I rushed into. Oh man, I fell in love with the fire, man. But there are things you can do, man. And going to the gym, that's a great thing. That's for men and women, you know? If that's what you got to use your fuel and your motivation, use that, right? Don't let it consume you, man. Don't let it, be the sole reason why you're going to try to be a better person, because you're trying to prove to this person who doesn't give a fuck about you that you can be a better person, right? You got to start doing different things. You got to sometimes, man, you got to tear yourself away from everything, right? Take it easy, man. You don't always have to be in a relationship. I'm going to say something that's not really a popular opinion, but it's the truth. Some people aren't good in relationships. Period. From time to time, I honestly feel that about myself. Like, fuck, am I really built for relationships? Am I built for marriage? Sometimes you got to just self-reflect and admit that to yourself. Like, man, am I cut out for this shit? You got to take the time, right? You got to take the time, and you can't carry that baggage, man. When you go into your next, relationship or situationship, you can't bring that with you, man. And as long as you take the time, you really reflect on what happened, the things that you did wrong as well, when you go into that next relationship, man, whenever that is, you have a better handle on shit, man. And you'll have a better opportunity not to carry that shit with you into the next relationship. So when that fire dies down, those demons won't be there waiting on you. You'll actually be more well equipped to have that conversation of like, hey, what do we need to do? What do we need to change? What can I do better? That's the only way it's going to work for you, man. In my opinion. But what do I know? I'm a piece of shit. But as long as you drop that baggage, take the time, improve yourself. Only you know what you're not good at and what you're not doing, what you need to do. Improve those things, man. Jordan Peterson said that, man. He said when you really sit down on the bed and you really have that conversation with yourself and you ask yourself, like, hey, what can I do better? Or what am I doing that I know I shouldn't be doing? Or I can improve on? Have that conversation with yourself, man. You got nothing but time. You got nothing but opportunity. Just relax, man. Just relax. Oh, man. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you writing in, man, and I know I did a lot of talking. I know I did a lot of rambling, man. Hopefully you got something fucking from it. Hopefully you got some piece of information, even if it was only 1 minute of information that's going to help you moving forward to your next relationship, man. Right? For a recap, man. 1, if you're out here doing infidelity, you're a piece of shit. 2, take the time, man. Have the conversations. Have the conversation. That's the only way it's going to work. You're going to have that conversation. And just take fucking time. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast today, man. Again, I love the email, Ryan. I appreciate you personally because, you took the time to write into the email. Again, if you guys want to write into the show, man, it's going to be dadissuespodcast@gmail.com. I hope everybody got something from this today. I really do. I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. Remember to respond to those polls and those questions of the day, man, so we can have those conversations down there. And remember, you're beautiful. You're handsome. You're flawed, but you're great. Don't let life fucking get you down, man. If it knocks you down, get the fuck back up. Hope you guys tune in to episode 4. Might be do some another email. Might do some talking, but until then, guys, tuning out. Appreciate you.